going to be our video for Unit 3, Day 2. So yesterday we learned all about polynomials, combining like terms, working with different pieces in algebra, and now today we're actually going to go take that and start solving equations. So what we're going to solve today is linear equations. So linear equation is an equation with degree 1. So the highest power on the variable is going to be 1. In other words, we just have plain x terms. Alright, so numbers multiply out in front of x, so 3x, negative 2x, 5x. So we can have numbers added at the end as long as there's no other higher powers of x than just our regular x to the first. So we solve a linear equation. What that means is we're going to isolate the variable. Alright, means get the variable by itself. That's what isolate means on one side of the equation. So your answer might be an integer, or it could be a fraction too. There's nothing wrong with getting a fraction answer. Sometimes answers are fractions. Alright, if it does end up being a fraction, make sure you reduce your fraction answers, right, or simplify. Alright, so we'll go ahead and start solving. So here's an example of linear equation. 3x plus 7 equals negative 4x plus 21. Why this is a linear equation? The highest order term we have is x terms, right? 3x, negative 4x. There's the highest degree terms, and that degree is 1. So that's why the linear equations have our plain x terms. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to move those x terms so that they're all on one side. Doesn't matter which side that is, whichever side you want it to be. So what I'm going to do on this one is I'll add 4x. If I do that, there's no more 4x on that side because negative 4x, positive 4x makes 0. On this side I now have 7x. If you subtracted 3x from both sides, that'd be the same. That'd be correct as well. So now what we're going to do is move our constants to the other side from where the x's are. Alright, when I say constants, all constant means those are just numbers. Just plain numbers. So in this problem we have to move 7 over to be with 21, so it's on the other side away from the x's. Right, then once we do that, our last step is going to be divide by the coefficient. Alright, so that's the number in front of x. So our last step here would be divide by 7. There's our final answer. Now once you get an answer, you can always plug it back into the original equation and make sure it fits. If it fits, you should end up with something that's true, so that it works out. Sometimes we're going to have linear equations that have fractions in them. So I'm going to review some of the things we do with fractions so that we can solve these just as well as we solve linear equations out of all whole numbers. Remember, we work with fractions, addition, and subtraction. We need a common denominator. Alright, so this example here, I'm adding 2/5 to 3/4. I have to find a number that's a multiple of both 5 and 4. So I could use 20. Remember that whatever we multiply the denominator by, multiply the numerator by that same thing, keep everything the same. Then when we're adding, we only add the numerators. We don't add the denominators too, so just numbers on top. And this is all stuff we covered back in Unit 1. Alright, multiplication, we just multiply straight across. Remember, we can also use cross cancellation. We can use that to simplify before we multiply. So on this example here, I see that 8 over 4, the same thing as 2 over 1. I can simplify multiplication before I multiply. And last thing to remember is with division, we're dividing fractions. Sometimes that's our last step in a promise to divide a fraction. Remember that division with fractions, all we do is flip and multiply. So if I'm doing 8 divided by 1/4, that's the same as 8 times 4 over 1, which would be just 32. Alright, so that's all you need to get you started. Again, this is something you probably did a lot of last year, so we're going to review this so we can build on top of it and work into solving harder equations than just linear equations. Alright, so a lot of practice on this sheet, and in class there's also another sheet that's included on the Canvas page. You can see there's a lot of practice problems for you to get some practice with this. So it'll get easier and easier and easier as you do more, so just make sure you do the practice.